finding the first and second derivative of each function. So the first function we have is f of x equals to 4x squared minus 3, the whole quantity raised to 7 over 2 power. So f prime of x, first derivative. So this is using chain rule. We take the 7 over 2 down, so whatever the inner function is, and then 7 over 2 minus 1, 7 minus 2 is 5, so you have 5 over 2, and then you take the derivative of the inner function, right? So the inner function is 4x squared minus 3, this is 4x squared minus 3, and then the next line, you take the derivative, f prime of x, that is equals to 7 over 2, 4x squared minus 3, and then the derivative is 8x. And then the derivative of 3 is, please don't say 3, is equals to 0 because 3 is a constant value. And then you close the parenthesis. We can simplify the 2 and the 8. So this is a 1, right? And then this is a 4, and then 4 times 7 gives you a 28. So we have f prime of x equals to 28. Oh, you know what? We can do a distribution, right? So we have a 28x. Okay, let's put it right over here. So we have 28 and then x, 4x squared minus 3. Why do I need to do a distribution? Because if you don't, okay, let's just end right there. If you don't do a distribution, and then the second derivative will be a product rule. Yes, that will give you the right answer if your steps are correct, but that gives you more work to do. So this one, why don't you do a distribution? So first we take a 28 times 4, that is equals to 112. So let's erase this. We have 112. X times x squared is x to the third, and then we take 28 times 3, that is equals to 84, so minus 84x. And then the next step will be super easy. So the second derivative, so this one you bring the 3 down, 112 times 3, that is equals to 336, and then x squared, the derivative of 84x is just an 84. So now you have your first and second derivative. Let's box the final answers. Alright, so let's take a look at the function in the middle. So this one, if you do not do any rewrite, then you will have to do a product rule. But in the product rule, there is a chain rule. So when you take the derivative of this parenthesis, this is a chain rule because you have an x squared minus 1 inside an x squared. So you have a chain rule inside a product rule. So if you don't want to go that way, I suggest you to just expand the function. So we have f of x, the color doesn't match, right? We have f of x equals to 3x and then x squared minus 1 times x squared minus 1. Let's open up the two parentheses. So we have 3x and then that is a x to the fourth, right? Minus x squared minus x squared. So that is minus 2x squared and then plus 1. Distribute the 3x. So that is equals to 3x to the fifth and then minus 6x to the third and then plus 3x. So let's check our work. X squared minus x squared minus x squared, so that is a minus 2 and then plus 1. 3 times 1 is 3, 4 plus 1 is 5, 3 times negative 2 is negative 6, and then x to the third and then plus 3x. So now the derivative is super easy. So first derivative, using simple power rule, bring the 5 down, so you have a 15, 3 times 5, x to the 5 minus 1 is 4, bring the 3 down, you have an 18, 3 minus 1 is equals to 2, and then the derivative of 3x is just equals to 3. And then double prime, so you bring the 4 down, then you have a 15 times 4, that is equals to 60, and then 4 minus 1 is equals to 3, and then you bring the 2 down, 18 times 2 is equals to 36, and then x to the first power, the derivative of 3 is equals to 0. So there you go, here is your first and second derivative. You can, of course, you can find the third derivative, just apply the simple power rule one more time. And then the last function, the green one, we have x divided by 3x minus 1. So this one there is no simplification right there, so you have to use the quotient rule for the first derivative. So let's copy the function first. We have f of x equals to x divided by 3x minus 1. So the first derivative, you have to use the quotient rule. What's the quotient rule? The quotient rule is gf prime minus fg prime divided by g squared. Quotient rule. So f prime of x, the first step is you square the denominator, so 3x minus 1 square. And then gf prime, so 3x minus 1, the derivative of the top is equals to 1, minus for the quotient rule, and then the top times the derivative of the bottom, the derivative of 3x minus 1 is equals to 3. And then you open up the numerator, that is equals to 3x minus 1, and then minus 3x, right? And then you have a 3x minus 1 square. Then the top is just a negative 1, right? So there is a negative 1 on top. So f prime of x, that is equals to negative 1 divided by 3x minus 1 square. All right. This is my first derivative. And then second derivative, I suggest you to use a negative power. So f prime of x, that is equals to negative 1 times 3x minus 1. So when you bring it up to the numerator, the 2 power becomes a negative 2. And then f double prime, you will be using a chain rule. So you bring the negative 2 down, so you have a negative 1 times negative 2, right? And then 3x minus 1, negative 2 minus 1 is equals to negative 3. And then you multiply the derivative of the parenthesis. This is by what? This is by chain rule. And then this step is quotient rule. Write this down so when you go back to review your notes, you know what you did. All right, double prime. So you have a 2, and then 3x minus 1 to the negative 3, and then the derivative of 3x minus 1 is equals to 3, so multiply 3. This one you can put the negative 3 back down, but I never ask my students to do that, so you can have a 6 divided by 3x minus 1 to the third power. So this is your second derivative. Alright, so that is the end of this video. If you think my instruction is clear and helpful, give me a like, share the video for me, click the subscribe button if you are new to the channel. I will see you all in the next video. Signing out.